Yes, people. Yes, people. Yes, people. We are back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. This is an Arsenal one tonight, man. I thought I'd get some gooners on with me that all have different opinions. I love debate shows, man. And I thought, who do I know that has different opinions on Arsenal? Um, Before we do get into it, make sure you do me a favor and smash a like on this video and subscribe and help us get to 11K. We're not far off of it, people. So let's make sure that we can do that. I'm going to introduce my guest, my panel of guests, which, let's be fair, is absolutely lit tonight. First of all, you all know her. She's been on plenty of times before. Colleen, what are you telling me, Colleen?
I'm good. How are you? It feels like we've done it feels like it's not a high anxiety going on.
Your Wi-Fi is moving mad.
Is it? Is it mad?
Yeah, it's okay now. I think you're back. Was that me or was that
No, it was every one of them.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're back. Is it the weather? It's the weather, isn't it?
Yo, this is reminding me of, when back in the day you used to have them aerials in your TV and you used to have to be about to get the signal.
Let's come back to Colleen because her Wi-Fi is moving mad, but hopefully it will refresh in a minute. Igal, talk to me, my friend.
Bro, I'm just happy to be here, man. I think it's debut on your channel. And I remember when you started your channel last year, I was around them times. So yeah, man, big up. Growing well. I love it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And if you haven't checked it out already, me and Igal were talking all things Arsenal, agreeing, disagreeing, debating earlier on his channel. So make sure you go check that one out and subscribe to him on his way to like 25K, man. He's absolutely smashing it. So well done, man. And it's good to see, bro. On the opposite end of the scale with all things Arsenal, I thought I'd get my boy Northside on, man. What are you telling me, bro?
Yo, familia. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm here. I'm chilling, man. Just, you know what I mean? I'm good, man. I'm always good. A lot of people on the internet think I live miserable. I live all right. I'm good, man.
I can vouch for that. I met him. He was smiling. He's not always angry.
Nah, man, he's not. He's a pussycat, really, is Northside, man. Listen, great to have you. And of course, we've got Premzy, man. What are you telling me?
Oh, big up everyone. Big up the chat, man. All good. Just waiting for the season to start again because without football, I'm telling you, life's boring for me. That's how it is. You get me, everything's involved in football. When there's no football, no Arsenal. Yeah, you go out, you do a few bits and bobs, but the real passion and the love for the game, man, it needs to come back ASAP. But it's brilliant to be back on, Dan.
Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure to have you on, man. Come on. Colleen, are you with us? Can you hear us now?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. We can hear you. I
had nothing interesting to say then anyway, so I had nothing of note to say there. Just looking forward to coming on chatting with you boys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's start with Northside, right? Because there's a lot of positivity around Arsenal at the moment in terms of the incomings. Haven't seen any outgoings. But we still haven't announced Rice or Timber. It seems like there's a lot of messing about. So how you feeling, man? How you feeling as a Gooner right now? Talk to me.
I wanted this club to start moving like a big club. I wanted us to get our business done early. We started to do our business early this transfer window so far. So I'm happy on that front. I wanted us to go for our main targets because we have a history of not getting our main targets over the line. Vlahovic, back in the day, Draxler, Higuain, the list goes on. Even to Rafinha, Mudryk, João Felix. We have a long list of players that we were out for and we get the B-Tech, C-Tech. We went out there, we put the money down and we got Declan Rice over the line. So I'm happy on that front as well. I'm not happy with Havertz because I look at Havertz kind of like Pepe. I feel like it's a player that, you're going to have to, Mikel Arteta is going to have to work with. And I haven't seen Mikel Arteta get the best out of Pepe. And I actually think that overall Pepe is a better player than Havertz. Different positions, but I think I've seen more about Pepe's game than Havertz. And if he can't get the best out of Pepe, which was before Declan Rice, our biggest transfer, you have more incentive to work with Pepe than go out there and get a Kai Havertz almost for the money that Chelsea got him for and work with him. And he hasn't got the best out of Pepe. Not that he should be a starter, but he could at least be on the bench as rotation. We saw great rotation on the left-hand side with Martinelli and what Trossard bought, the best out of Martinelli and the fact that we could rotate the two. I think we could, Mikel Arteta, if he's great at converting players and bringing the best out of players, there's still question marks on that because he's not getting the best out of Lokonga and a couple others that were part of the weak bench and the weak squad and why we bottled the league last season. So for me, that signing is a question mark. I'm happy with Timber. I'm happy with Declan Rice. I do think there's other positions we need to go out and address. So far, though, I am happy. If we get rid of Partey, I'm not going to be happy. And I will be calling him a filo da puta. And I will be calling him a filo da merda. And I'll be drawing out everyone because I don't care. The standard stays high. Thomas Partey should be staying here. If we talk about Man City having two teams, at the end of the day, we can't get rid of Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey can rotate with Declan Rice. If he falls off like he has for the last 2 seasons, at the end of the season, you now have Declan Rice. But you can't be weakening, especially in an era of the pitch, of our squad that we have not strengthened in a long, long time, which is the midfield. And I'm happy that we're going out there and getting it. If we miss out on Caicedo, I'm going to be calling him a filo da puta because for me, we should be going out there and getting Caicedo as well. At the end of the day, when you look at our midfield options, they're very, very light. Very light. And we let go of one of our starters in Xhaka. You've got Lokonga, which is not reliable. ESR can play in the number 10 if we needed to, but he's unreliable in terms of injuries. Fabi Vieira ain't good enough, so the other options on the bench ain't good enough. We need to strengthen. So Xhaka could go, but if we get rid of Partey, I'm not happy. And I do think we need another striker because Eddie Nketiah is not good enough. And the fact that the manager was playing Trossard out of position in his position when we just signed him to a new contract tells you everything that Arteta actually thinks about Eddie Nketiah, and we should not be letting go of Balogun. So if we do all of that, at the end, it'll be a very high score for this transfer window. If we don't, then you already know, I'm going to let it off. And certain men are going to be called out. But yeah, so far I'm happy.
Mate, Igal, is that like listening to me about 2 hours ago on your channel or what?
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit more with Vim. Listen, I feel like honestly, you can't go and say that we haven't made our team weaker if we lose Xhaka and Partey. But one thing I can say is if we do lose Xhaka and Partey, we would go and try to get a third midfielder. We won't just settle with Declan Rice and Kai Havertz. It's been rumored numerous times that we'd want Lavia or somebody else to come in. And the aim is probably to make this team younger, because if you look last season, our midfield was very old with Jorginho. You look at Partey, you look at Xhaka, and even Elneny down the line. It's a very old midfield. So their aim is probably to just make the team younger. But I do understand your skepticism over selling Partey. Personally, for me, I didn't want to lose both Partey and Xhaka. I want to keep Partey now that we've lost Xhaka. And I think that if we go and get Lavia, we're actually going to be making our team weaker in the short term, but in the long term, we're going to be strengthening because, let's be honest, Partey is not going to be here in 2 years' time. His contract's either going to run down or we're going to sell him next summer regardless.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And Prems, let's come to you, man. This midfield at the moment is a little concerning, even though we have signed Declan Rice and Kai Havertz. And I'll tell you why it is. The rumours of Thomas Partey won't go away. The fact that he might be leaving. We're looking to be keeping Jorginho and Elneny, which is fine if they're kind of fifth choice or whatever. But at the moment, they ain't fifth choice. They're basically our backups, right? So I'm going to say it now. We lose Thomas Partey. We need 2 more midfielders as well as Declan Rice coming in my opinion. So I'm talking like a Caicedo and Lavia coming in. I'm talking like there's some mad names being bantered around, but we're going to need to try and get a replacement for Thomas Partey, and it can't be a Zuba-Mendy. It has to be someone coming in to replace Partey to play in the first team right now that's ready. So where do you stand on this midfield stuff, man?
Do you know what? Yeah, Thomas Partey, it's unbelievable what I've been hearing from a lot of Arsenal fans. Like, since Declan Rice has come through the door, even though he hasn't been holding the shirt up yet, but we know we've signed him, people are willing to let Thomas Partey go. And for me, it'd be an absolute disaster. Thomas Partey has been our best midfielder for a lot of years now. I don't think there's many players in world football in his position that are better than him. There's a few, but there's not many. So if we do end up selling him, the only time I'll be all right with that is if we go and bring Caicedo in, you get me? But then even then, having a brand new midfield, for me, it's going to take some time for them to settle in, which can disrupt the way that we play and the flow that we've got as a team. Havertz one, bro, I'm disgusted with that signing. I'll be honest with you. You get me? I'm not trying to butter over anything. I think he's absolutely shit, in my opinion. He's got to do a lot to make me feel that, you know what, I was wrong about this guy and he's going to be good for the Arsenal. But there's no way he can come in and start straight away and play that Xhaka role, because for me, he's been here for 3 years, tried and tested in the Premier League, been under 3 different managers, 3 different systems, played a number of different positions within that time, one of them being one of the best German managers in world football in Tuchel, and even he couldn't get the best out of him. So I don't understand why we're spending 65, 70 million on him and we're not looking at Caicedo. Makes no sense to me, that at all. You get me? I've been fuming over that. Xhaka going, I would have kept him for some squad depth, but I actually don't mind him going. I think now's probably the right time for him to go. The whole time he's been here, we've only probably had 2 decent seasons out of him, and the last one probably being his best. If we're going to get some value for him, get rid of him. Now we've got Rice in. He can play that position and be the more progressive midfielder, box to box. And Thomas Partey has to stay, in my opinion, for him and Rice to make that midfield tick with Odegaard alongside him. It's just one of them situations. I'm happy that Arsenal are moving like a big club in the terms that we've challenged for the league and we're not resting on our laurels. We've gone out there, we broke our transfer record and we've signed Declan Rice, a midfielder that everybody's wanted. And he's Premier League proven as well. So we know that he's going to come in and he's going to be good for us straight away. The Timber one, obviously I know I'm diverting a little bit off midfield.
Go for it, man.
The Timber one, I think, I can't sit here and say I've been watching this guy for years and I know absolutely everything about him. Obviously, YouTube makes everybody look like a superstar, but I have watched him a few times. And from what I have seen, I think he'd come in and play that inverted right back role well. I think as a centre back, I don't think he's going to come into Arsenal and play as a centre back. I think he's coming in to play as an inverted right back to give us that option to push Ben White into right back if Saliba gets injured or so on. So I'm happy with them signings. But if we lose a Thomas Partey, Lavia, for me, that's just not going to cut it. And we need a striker, in my opinion. But we are doing all right. It seems like Arsenal are moving in the right direction. We are trying to push on now and go and win them bigger trophies. And Arteta has that kind of mindset that he just doesn't want to win the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. He wants to be challenging at the highest level, which is good for our club and good for us as a fan base. But we're going to have to wait and see. I think if we are going to go and win the league this coming season, now's probably our best chance to go and do that for a long time coming. There's talks of Manchester City potentially losing a lot of players. And if that was to happen, I have a feeling, it might take them a little bit of time to find the tune again and be at the best City that they've been. So we're going to have to wait and see. Somebody's touched on Balogun in the comments there as well. And for me, I would keep Balogun over Eddie Nketiah. I think Northside touched on Trossard coming in over Eddie and playing in his position. I think that was just more due to Eddie carrying a knock, because that was pretty well documented that he was carrying a knock towards the back end of the season. So I'm hoping that Mikel Arteta, during pre-season, sees what Balogun's like, see what he's about, see his improvements, and make that decision to keep him rather than Eddie Nketiah. But I still think we need a big striker like Mitrovic or somebody like that can give us a plan B, give us something different when it's going against us. Come on, be a bully and make us not so predictable. That's how I see it, bro, right about now.
I think you have been calling each other. He literally said Mitrovic earlier. Listen, I don't think Mitrovic is top 6 Premier League level. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, but he's not coming in to start, bro. What we need somebody to come on. Let me tell you something now. Mitrovic is a clinical goal scorer. We've seen that last season. We've seen that the season before that. The guy's a bully boy. He's big. He's strong. And I'm seeing this ridiculous shit about Havertz now. People saying, "Oh, he's 6'4". He's the tallest guy in our squad." Listen, my man's getting bullied left, right, and centre. He is not physically strong whatsoever. We need somebody that can come on, and bully defenses. Gabriel Jesus can't do that. Yeah, I understand the flow between Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka is really good, and I want to keep that. But when it's not going for you, you can't bring on a player that's just going to be playing the exact same system. Because for me, Eddie Nketiah is very similar to Jesus and what he kind of has to offer. We need something different. Other than Mitrovic, there might be a few other players, but we need Premier League proven players, in my opinion, you get me? And somebody that's willing to sit on the bench and not be a starter.
Igal wanted Havertz over Mitrovic up front, bro. That's what he told me earlier. I was like, nah, man.
I'm just going to say this. I don't think Mitrovic coming into the team would benefit us in the long term. I'm looking at Mitrovic and I'm going to say to myself, it's another stopgap signing. If we're going to spend money on a striker, save up, go big next summer, go get Victor Osimhen.
Do you know what? I don't want to just be looking for the future. I want to be looking for the here and now. And, some big teams and great teams of the past, they've had a mix of youth and experience in their team. When you've lost experience in your team, like the likes of Granit Xhaka, who has been one of our most experienced players, you need to replace that. Up front, Gabriel Jesus, he's still young. He is the long-term plan for this club. So we don't really need to go out there. Yeah, I'd love an Osimhen as well. But at Mitrovic, we can have him for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years at a max and go and bring in that different striker that we want. We need to be building a squad and a team now to be competing and winning the title now, not thinking about the next 2-3 years. We need them players in the door now. And that's
we can win the league right now, this season coming up without a striker. We don't need a
Well, it didn't work this season, did it? So
guess what? The reason wasn't because of the attack, though. We all know we conceded 18 goals in 11 games. Before then, we only conceded like 25 and 21 in 20. How many games? 27 games. We conceded like 25 goals. We conceded less goals than games played before we got the injuries. So this whole thing about it was our defense and our squad depth that was the issue.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing is,
it was never the striker.
Yeah, but all right. See, Gabriel Jesus gets injured again for 6-7 months.
That's exactly what I said.
Eddie Nketiah gets injured again. What you need to remember, we've always had 3 strikers at this club. We've always had 3 strikers, and it works well for us. For me, Eddie Nketiah, yeah, he might have come in and stepped in and done well when Jesus was out, but it wasn't good enough for me. You get me? It wasn't good enough because there was loads of opportunities where he could have bagged. He didn't bag in vital moments. We need somebody that can give us a different option, somebody where we're not so predictable. Towards the back end of the season, Igal, we were very predictable as a team. Teams are walking out and knowing exactly what we're doing. When you can change the dynamics up front a little bit, it can confuse defenses, and that's just all I'm seeing. We don't need to just hang fire and wait for 2-3 years to sign Osimhen and that. We need bodies in the door now because there's no guarantee you're getting these players.
1 second. I'm not saying wait 2-3 years. I'm saying wait 1 year and next year we get him. But the reason
why you don't know you're gonna get him, innit?
But the reason why I'm saying this is because obviously you need to see what the issues were last year and assess those. And obviously in the future, in order for us to win the Champions League and to win all the major trophies and do a treble potentially, we're going to need that striker who scares defenses and has the ability to take over a game. Right now, we don't have that. But what we have is we have a lot of different options within the team and the front three that can work, a functioning front three. We have players on both wings in Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli who can chip in the goals. So it's not necessarily that we lack goals in the team. We also have midfielders who chip in with goals. This squad has way more goals than we've ever had. It's not the goals that are the issue. It's not actually the finishing that was the issue. It's more when in the business end of last season, we were so scared that we couldn't even create an attack because we had defenders like Rob Holding who weren't able to start off the attacks, who were not comfortable in possession. So we were sitting further back and it didn't allow our build-up play to be as good. So
do you know what, though? I think Rob Holding's very easy to just blame for a lot of it because when he came into the team, yeah, he's no Saliba, but he didn't really do a lot wrong, Rob Holding. He might have made the odd mistake here or there. The team as a collective were just too predictable. When teams were coming to us, they were shutting out Saka, 3 on a man. You get me? Shutting out Martinelli, shutting out our team. And we were just playing one system. We don't have another system to play. And let me tell you, when you're coming up against teams year in, year out, now this Arsenal has played a full season and everyone can study them, understand the way Mikel Arteta's playing. It's going to be a lot more difficult in this upcoming season to play the same way and get the same kind of results. Trust me, man, we need some sort of difference.
Although I might agree with you.
Last point, Igal, and then I'm going to bring Colleen in because she's waiting patiently, man.
Last point, I promise. Although I might agree with you, I would change the wording to the players lost confidence in that defender and it didn't allow us to play the way we usually play. With Saliba, we would play a higher line and he'd be able to start attacks drifting into midfield at times. We all know what Saliba was capable of doing. So it's not
about you, but I see Rob Holding score a goal for us. So.
It's not only on Rob Holding, it's on the whole collective not having the confidence in the team and Mikel Arteta also. So, hey, it's not just the attack.
Listen, I think you've both got good points there because I think Holding obviously does need upgrading, but you can't just sit there and blame one player on us not doing it. So I think you both got good points there. Colleen, let me ask you this, right? In real talk now, we've looked like we've got our 2 goalkeepers. I'm still not 100% sure on Matt Turner, but that's a whole nother podcast. We've got defensively, we look like we're going to be pretty much sound now, in my opinion. We've got pretty much every position covered, but we're still short in midfield, and I've just spoken about up top. Are we at the moment stronger in midfield or weaker in midfield? I understand the transfer window is not closed yet, but we're selling selling Granit Xhaka and replacing him, which seems like Kai Havertz, and bringing in Declan Rice. Are we stronger? And if we sell Party, what do we do?
I mean, I'm going to bring the mood up a little bit because I think you guys have been a tad depressed, just a little bit depressed for the first 20 minutes here. I'm not going to lie. I felt like jumping off a bridge then. Jesus.
No,
I personally...
Sometimes, Colleen, the uncomfortable conversations is what needs to happen because I'm telling you, when you want success at the club, yeah, everything's not rosy. Believe me, man.
Maybe
You gotta question a few things.
what I'm about to say, you might be the one to push me off that bridge because I'm here for Havertz. I'm not going to lie.
I'll use two hands, bro. I'll use two hands now. I'm telling you, not one.
I mean, I'm with you.
I'm here for.
Explain
for
why.
Havertz
Go on,
coming
Colleen.
in.
Go on, Colleen.
But I think it's very, very, very important. I think we can all kind of agree on this that I don't think we can lose both Xhaka and Partey. Xhaka's gone. For me, Partey cannot go. I don't really care. I mean, it's not my money, so this is why I don't care. I don't care if we could get 40 million for a 30-year-old now, and it might seem like good business. I'm talking about the continuity from last season coming into this season. Bearing in mind, we just finished second, challenging for the league, and the amount of money that we've already spent, and we're probably going to spend a little bit more, depending on outgoings, but we probably will spend some more outside of the three we've all mentioned. We can't take a step down from that and then not challenge for the title again and do better in cup competitions because last season it wasn't so great. Normally in our times of our, the modern Arsenal, that banter kind of era in the cup competitions, particularly the FA Cup, we've been quite strong in. It's now trying to get that balance. And I think that kind of experience and the maturity and lessons of last season need to come through the spine of that squad. So I just don't see the benefit of losing someone like Thomas Partey and Xhaka. And when Thomas Partey's fit and he's on form, he's one of our best players. He's one of the best players in the league, one of the best players in Europe. So I think he can help nurture this midfield that is coming in, like your Declan Rice. Don't get me wrong, Declan Rice is a fabulous player, but he's now going to come into a whole new world of pressure. £100 million price tag, smashed the British record, smashed Arsenal's record. Now going to be playing the Champions League for the first time in his career. Now going to be in a title race for the first time in his career. So we're just expecting him to waltz in and just have that kind of level that he's been doing. And even more so, because we saw it with our current squad. They did fabulous last season. No one really foresaw that kind of title challenge. But, they didn't quite get over the line. So they've learned kind of the lessons of that, we hope. But how do we expect that to continue if we lose two core members of that spine? We can't lose both. But Thomas Partey, for me, doesn't matter how much comes in, he cannot go. Because we have the same issue if Caicedo comes in. Don't get me wrong. I'd love Caicedo to come in, but we're not going to... I don't see how that benefits us in the short term. He has to stay.
And
so it depends on Thomas Partey.
Yeah. And do you think, Colleen, that Arsenal have got it in them this summer after signing Declan Rice to go and get another Declan Rice type signing? What I mean by that is like a Tchouaméni, if he was even available, Caicedo, maybe a De Jong, like spending like up to 80 to 90 million again for another midfielder. Or do you think that if Partey goes, we could be replacing him with like a Lavia or a Zubamendi or somebody like that?
Is she there?
Have we lost her? Have we lost her again?
She just froze.
Oh, she's frozen.
So she must have jumped off that bridge.
Bless her. She's
using that AOL internet, man. The old school AOL dial-up one.
No, but you know what? She's right, man. There's no way we can afford to lose two.
No, but even the club has said that in numerous reports from journalists. I don't know how much you guys trust these journalists, but they've all been saying if Partey leaves, we are going to go and get another midfielder, a third midfielder, and that third midfielder is going to be a younger six. So they've said younger six, but they've also said of the caliber of Thomas Partey, so they're assuming that Lavia is of that caliber.
He's not going to replace Partey.
What I don't understand is we had a whole bench, which was the reason that his fan base said we bottled the league. Yeah, I like bench, I like squad. Yeah, no one was saying when we came second and when we was top of the league, no one said, "Oh, let's get rid of Partey." So I'm completely with Colleen. Nobody was saying get rid of Thomas Partey. So why does Thomas Partey need to leave? ESR, what did he contribute to last season? Us being in the title race in how many years? What did Lokonga contribute for us being in the title race after so many? What did Fabio Vieira contribute? So at the end of the day, I just feel like even Xhaka, and I'm not a big fan of Xhaka. Yeah, and fair enough. If the player doesn't want to be here, fair enough. At the end of the day, you can't have a player that doesn't want to be here and you force him, whatever. But at the end of the day, That whole bench needs to be replaced, not the starting 11. We need better than the starting 11 or as good, so that we have what Man City have, what a lot of Arsenal fans claim, two squads. But I don't understand this thing of getting rid of, out with the old and in with the new. We had the same thing with Zinchenko and Tierney. Tierney is a way better left back. As a left back, he is better because his main job is to defend. He is better playing left back than Zinchenko. And I think I do agree with Igal, and I do agree with Premzi. The attack, it does need some versatility. With Fergie, you used to have Berbatov, Rooney, Van Persie, all different types of strikers for different types of games to unlock different types of defenses and different types of systems. I think we get too excited with, it worked with Jesus, let's get another Jesus. But at the same time, certain games, Jesus isn't as effective. But the same thing is, when you're looking at Zinchenko, and Tierney, it's the whole thing, we don't need Tierney anymore. Hold on. We actually bottled winning the league because of Zinchenko. That guy, as a left back, does not stick to his role, and he doesn't do, as a left back, what his prime role is to do, which is defend. He doesn't defend well. Too many times ball watching, going into the middle, not tracking back, not getting into position, not standing your man off, showing him down the line. So at the end of the day, I don't understand this whole thing. Well, we got Declan Rice, we'll forget him. Okay, cool. What, we're going to go with Jorginho? This isn't the Jorginho when he was in his prime at Chelsea. This is Jorginho on his decline. What are we going to go with? El Nene? El Nene, how many years has El Nene been struggling at this point?
El Nene is not going to be selected at all.
At the end of the day, what other options do we have?
You're right, bro. You're 100% right. And
to get rid of Partey. What is your option if Declan Rice gets injured? Jorginho and El Nene. If Declan Rice gets injured at the start of the season, God forbid, what are you going? Is anyone here?
One second. You're doing it if based off that we sell Partey and we don't bring nobody in. Understand that they've always said if Partey leaves, they're bringing somebody else in. This is not a club of old where we don't do our actions. Everything they've said that they would do based on replacements or things, they've addressed them. So it's a situation they acknowledged last season that the squad depth was why we lost. So when you're bringing up guys like Fabio Vieira,
is Havertz and Xhaka like replacement? Because I don't think so.
It's not even that. The most important thing that everyone's seeming to miss, is that, I understand, Igal, if he goes, they'll bring a replacement. But how long is it going to take for that replacement to get with the system, get with the team, fit into the chemistry, understand what Mikel Arteta wants? Is it going to happen like that? I don't think it is. Now we've challenged for the title. We need to now build on what we've got, the basic foundations, and Thomas Partey is one of them, to push forward and actually now go and win the title. If we have a Partey and Xhaka are fully out of our midfield, them two, whoever come in, Declan Rice and whoever it may be, they're going to have to develop a partnership. They're going to have to develop an understanding with the back. They're going to have to develop an understanding with the forward line. Stuff like that don't just happen like that. This is what I'm saying. This is why it's a must you keep Thomas Partey in this team, because the spine of the team is still pretty much the same. And when it's the same, you've got that chemistry throughout the team. You can add them little bits and bobs around and it will flow nicely. So in order to change the whole midfield pairing of both of them, in my opinion, it's a big mistake. I don't think that's something we should do.
I honestly, I do agree with you guys, but here's the logic behind it. And what I've read, basically what I've read and everything that they've been saying, the reasoning behind it. Thomas Partey, he might not be playing as many games as a 6. And in certain games, they might have Kai Havertz and Declan Rice out there. Now, Thomas Partey on the bench would be great squad depth for us, and we should have that kind of squad depth. And I would keep him personally, because we are going to be weakening our midfield by losing him to bring in a Lavia for the short term, right? But they are trying to get younger in that midfield. And it could be a situation where if we get rid of Thomas Partey, who's on 200K a week, and he's going to be more or less likely a bench player next season, that is the reason why they're saying, you know what, Thomas Partey has a lot of injuries. He's 30 years old. He has 2 years remaining on his contract, and he's going to be a bit part player. We might as well get a younger player in right now who has Premier League experience, who can embed into that role and still try to win. It's a big risk, but they're trying to evolve the midfield.
You need to send me them articles you're reading, fam, because I don't know what's going on there. Make sure you DM me on Instagram.
Did you get what I said?
I understood what you said, but the thing is, I don't know. See, the thing is with Arsenal fans that piss me off the most is the moment we sign a player, this guy's the best thing since sliced bread. What have you seen? You tell me, Igal, what have you seen from Havertz, in the last 3 years in a Chelsea shirt, apart from one goal in the Champions League final that he scored, that you think he's going to come into this team and be a better player then Thomas Partey would be in this team. If Thomas Partey's been playing as a 6 for us for all of these years and doing a fantastic job, Declan Rice has been brought in to be a box-and-box midfielder, just like what Xhaka's done. So why are we looking to take out Thomas Partey to replace him with Havertz, who has been absolutely dead in this league? What sense does that make?
What they're trying to do is they're trying to replace Havertz with Xhaka, and they're viewing Xhaka's attacking output last season and the positions that he was in the attacking third, and they're saying to themselves, Havertz is a better fit for that. Because
Havertz can't finish to save his life.
No, but the thing is, when you depend on him to be the sole focal point, and he's not the second runner or the second striker, he has more pressure on him, and he's not able to do that role. That's why Chelsea were misprofiling him. This is the whole belief behind it, is that he can play as a midfielder who can drift in as a second striker, similar to a Lampard, similar to an Aaron Ramsey, I mean. Back in the day for Arsenal.
Well, where are we seeing that? Because at Leverkusen, he was playing on the right wing. He wasn't playing in the middle. If you go back and check, majority of his game time was coming off the right wing. He wasn't playing in that box-to-box number.
Is that for
position.
real? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought he was playing number 10. I didn't know that.
Playing off the right wing.
I seen James tweeted about it. Yeah.
So in his time at Chelsea, where he's played as a 9, played as a 10, played off the wing, and it hasn't worked for him, what makes you think that he is going to be the guy that's going to be really efficient to this team and this system? What, because he's 6'4"? It makes no sense to me. And if we've brought Havertz in to get rid of Partey and make Declan Rice the 6, bro, I'm not going to be happy about that.
No, but understand that Declan Rice is the replacement for Partey. The Partey replacement is Declan Rice. Havertz is replacing Xhaka. What they're doing on top of that is they're going to be buying a third midfielder to then be able to have more rotation and for the rest of the squad. But forget about all that. The main thing that you asked is, what is Havertz going to do? The role that they're going to most likely try to use Havertz in is what Xhaka was playing offensively. They're going to have him closer to Jesus. And the reason why it's going to be a little bit better for him at Arsenal is because he won't have as much pressure, where at Chelsea, let's be honest, who did he have around him in the attacking third? His midfielders didn't really contribute with goals, with Conte, Kovacic, Jorginho.
So the year they won the Champions League and all of that, they weren't a good team.
Bro, in the year that they won the Champions League, he wasn't used as a focal point in the attack. Timo Werner was.
Yeah, but he was involved in their team. He was playing in their team, but he wasn't a standout performer, was he?
Yes, and even then their attack was poor, and he was criticized heavily.
This is what I'm saying. In the 3 years that he's been
at the end of the day, we're trying to go from second to first. Yeah, it's Kai Havertz. We didn't get him on the cheap. We've basically paid them back what they paid for him when they first got him. Is Kai Havertz going to elevate us? No. There's one thing in understanding what the manager wants to do. I understand what the manager wants to do. For example, I understand what the manager wants to do with Zinchenko. I just don't think it works, because for all he does great in the midfield, he also leaves us light and exposed on the left-hand side. Zinchenko playing that.
That's a problem for me as well.
Yeah?
That's a problem for me.
So there is one thing in understanding what the club wants to do, but do you rate it? When the club got Fabio Vieira, I didn't rate him. And I'm Portuguese. I've watched that league. He ain't good enough. So there's one thing in saying, okay, I understand what the manager wants to do. Do I think this player is actually good enough for my club? No. When we got Lokonga, I didn't think he was good enough. Nuno Tavares came from my Portuguese club, Benfica. He ain't good enough there. And I knew he wouldn't be good enough here. So no matter how anyone wants to look at it, we are trying to win the league. And not only just win the league against any team, against a treble-winning side. Yeah, that is only evolving. For me, additions should only be made if it's going to elevate us to win the league. For me, Havertz doesn't do that. He's not even a starter. And off the bench, I don't think he's going to be doing enough. I don't see enough about his game. As an example, I use Pepe as a prime example. Yeah, Pepe is not the overall player that we need him to be, like Saka, like Martinelli, where they're quick in the final third. But Pepe is very good finisher outside the box. He can whack it, slap it, top bins. Pepe's the only issue with Pepe one-on-one, he will put you on the floor. The only issue with Pepe is in the final third, he holds on to the ball too long and he doesn't read the game and he doesn't watch his man that's overlapping him and make that cut-in pass to undo the defense. There's things to Pepe's game that I can see, okay, you're not a complete player, but there's attributes. When I look at Havertz, there is nothing that's an outstanding attribute. So why am I'm not going to just gas it. For me, I think it's appalling. I'm not just going to get behind it just because he plays for Arsenal. At the end of the day, it's not like we got him at a cut price. And it's not like Chelsea. Chelsea are looking at Balogun. Chelsea are not coming to Arsenal and saying, oh, you know what? You lot smashed the transfer record to go get Pepe. You know what? We'll pay you the same.
North side. Nobody's knocking on the door for Pepe. There's been a report that nobody in world football wants to sign Pepe on a permanent transfer. That's why we're trying to get rid of him on a free. But Kai Havertz has been wanted by Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, and you're telling me it's by no coincidence that all these great teams want him? They clearly see that at Chelsea they've been a dysfunctional attack for a near decade. Even though they win trophies, they've won their trophies off the basis of their midfield and their defense being solid and them smashing, grabbing a lot of these games.
Chelsea wanted Mudryk, so who cares?
Chelsea, you know what, Igal, in my opinion, if Real Madrid or Bayern Munich really wanted him, they would have him, believe me. I think they made an inquiry about him, but they weren't wholehearted on him. We were the only ones that went in wholehearted, put a bid in and got him. Look, he plays for the club. I want him to work. I want him to do well because he's got the badge on. But he's got, like I said, he's got to prove to me that, you know what, I can come in and I can do what you need me to do as a fan. When I'm watching him, when I'm paying big money, going to the games, traveling to the games, watching it week in, week out, I don't see him being that guy. Yeah, sometimes we might have to
being that guy. Be honest.
I've always never seen Xhaka, but he surprised me last season and done well. However, we've all said we can get better than Xhaka in that position. And let me tell you now, Havertz is not better than him in that position.
I'm onto something now. Is Kai Havertz more suited to the role Xhaka was playing last year in the attacking end?
Not for me. I think he's absolutely shit. Yeah, and I wouldn't even have him at the club. That's my honest opinion. No, I don't agree with that. No. So I don't know what you're on to.
Your opinion of the player is based off what you've seen at another club and how.
No. It's what I've seen for 3 years in the English Premier League. Sometimes it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years, 3 years. Like I said, 3 different systems, 3 different managers, one being German. Yeah. And if anyone's going to get the best out of him, it's most likely going to be him, who is a very, very good manager, speaks his language, can let him settle in easily or whatnot. And it just hasn't worked out. That's what I've seen. I'm going off proof. I'm going off seeing Havertz week in, week out, missing chance after chance, getting bullied up. That's what I'm going off, not going off stats, what I see with my eyes. You get me? And I don't think anybody here can tell me any different. That's just the truth of the matter.
You know what,
you're talking about ifs and buts. We're just used to if this works out, if that works out. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for an if he works out. But going off evidence of what he actually is as a player, it ain't great. It ain't great, man.
You know what, Prems, right?
You just got to say it as it is, man.
This is to you, Northside, as well, right? Because I'm with you two a lot of the time. I'm with you on the Havertz thing. I don't like it. I don't rate it. I don't think this is superb. What I will do, though, is I will wait till see and reserve judgment until he starts playing with a shirt on, because there's so many players that I've done this with before over the years, not just in Mikel Arteta's reign, that I thought, I don't really get this one. Boom, it happens. I just really pray this does. And you know what? If it don't, it has to work. This has to work for Mikel Arteta. This cannot not work. This is a stupid signing if it goes wrong, because there's 65 to 75 million pounds being spent on this guy when Caicedo hasn't got a club still, because obviously he's going to leave Brighton. That would have been much more of an understanding for me to go there. Now, we need to wait for this guy to do it in an Arsenal shirt or not do it before we have the opinion. I totally get the concerns about the signing, because I'm with you both, right? But we need to allow it. He cannot spend 100 million on Fabio Vieira and Kai Havertz and it not work. That just can't happen as a manager at this level, in my opinion, right? So this has to work. Now, Mikel Arteta, for whatever reason, has seen something in Kai Havertz that says, this guy's going to suit my system in the attacking 8 role, whatever the hell he's going to play, right? Okay, then, Mikel, over to you. No pressure.
You know what, Dan? We hope it works, and we pray it works. Because you got to look at the evidence realistically, Dan. Yeah, fair enough. It might be a little bit of a different system than what he might be playing at Chelsea, but he's been in the Prem for 3 years. We've watched this guy for 3 years. It's just like me saying to you, yeah, or we'll go to fucking someone shit in the Premier League and just get a standard. Go to Tottenham and get Højbjerg. You get me? You're not going to be excited over that. That's just the truth of the matter, isn't it? You're not going to be excited because you've seen what he's like over the last couple of years at Tottenham. So this is what I don't understand, where all of this, or you're going to see what's going to happen with Havertz. And you know what? If he comes good, happy days. I'm happy. We're in a good place. But right now, going off evidence, it just seems to be one of them situations where we were after Caicedo for a very long period of time. Yeah. When we was linked to him. Yeah. And they said, if we get Caicedo, this isn't going to affect the Declan Rice deal. Why are we then going and putting nearly 70 million down for Havertz and not maybe giving the extra 20 million for Caicedo, somebody who can eventually become that Thomas Partey replacement, who's young, who's been one of the best midfielders in the league, than somebody everyone's been calling Shy Havertz, and he's been dead food.
Because Declan Rice is viewed as the 6, basically, that we've
But
signed.
who's told you this? He's viewed as the 6? Because everything that I've been hearing, he's viewed as a box-to-box player. Even all West Ham fans are saying that he'll be a lot better being a box-to-box player and being more progressive.
The thing is,
so I don't understand who you've been listening to.
He can do both, to be honest. Let's be honest. He can do both.
He can do both.
The reality is we dropped this type of money and they have a plan. They're not going to drop this type of money for a player they don't have a plan for. And the reason why we signed Kai Havertz, it looks like, is to play in that same position that Xhaka was playing. That's basically what it looks like. From the outside looking in, you don't drop 65 million and 105 million on 2 players to play them in the same position and keep Partey in the team.
So do you not believe we need squad depth as well and people coming off the bench?
No, I'm not saying sell Partey. Based on what I just said, I'm saying those 2 players have been signed to play across in the same team as Martin Odegaard.
I'd be totally honest. James Maddison, for me, I would have rather had him than Havertz playing that position of Xhaka's. Yeah. That's my honest opinion. That's what I'm saying. So I just don't get it. You know what? Like I said, I'm not trying. This is your opinion and I respect your opinion. I just don't understand Arsenal fans that at the moment someone signed for the club, they know everything about this guy. He's going to work in this system. This is where Arteta's playing him when we've not even seen the season start off and we don't know if he's going to be a false 9 or not. Yeah, we don't know where he's actually going to play. We don't know who he's coming in to replace. We don't know if he's just sitting on the bench. But the moment a player gets signed, everybody knows everything about him. He's the best thing since sliced bread. It's going to work. I don't get it when we've seen evidence.
Maybe you can call it delusional. You can call it talking yourself into it, or it could just be you're trying to educate yourself on some player that you haven't had before. Now, half the Arsenal fan base just realized he's tall. That's kind of funny to me. But the reality is one thing we realized is that it's not about his height that we signed him. It's also the position that he's going to be able to play. Now, I can share my screen, but I'm looking at his career. He's played more games at Chelsea as a center forward than he played any other position. That he's actually performed worse in his career as a center forward than he did as an attacking midfielder. And if we were to be playing him in the same role that Xhaka was playing, let's be honest, Martin Odegaard was a lot deeper than Xhaka in the final business.
That's why I don't want him up front, Egal. See, that's why I told you I don't want him up front.
All right, so can we say, do you think Havertz is going to be good coming back and helping Declan Rice out defending in midfield?
This is where I think we're going to change our game slightly with Timber there now, and of course Ben White. I think it's going to be more of a shift to a back 3, and the left back and Declan Rice are going to be a lot deeper. It's not going to be a situation where you're going to see the left back bombing on more often, because now you have another player in that same area where Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus are. So you're not going to see Zinchenko or Kieran Tierney that far up the pitch. You're going to see them closer, tucking in, helping out defensively.
So let me ask you then, Egal, because that's a great point, right? Do you feel then that because we're coming into Granit Xhaka, and by the way, Premsy knows this is not my favorite player, by the way, Granit Xhaka, right? But let me tell you, I don't have the faith then that Havertz can do the covering of what Granit Xhaka did the whole of this season when Zinchenko was doing what he wanted. So if you're saying that that's going to be more of a system of a back 3 and Zinchenko will come in with Rice, we're going to need to see some discipline from Kai Havertz. And do you have the faith that he's going to be able to do that?
It's actually going to be that Kai Havertz will not be asked to do too much defending on when we lose the ball. He's going to be so high up the pitch, similar to Xhaka, that he won't be asked to be using all his defensive work rate. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be more asked to defend as a unit when we're pinned back and we're defending against a team like Man City. We're going to have a different system. We're not going to necessarily have him in the team.
So what I'm saying is, and I get what you're saying, because you are right. I think that is what Arteta will do, right? So I think what you're saying is spot on there for what Arteta will do. My concern is I'm looking at Zinchenko and Kai Havertz, and I'm saying, Gabriel, I mean, wow, good luck. This is because there is no way you're defending like that on that left-hand side with Zinchenko and Kai Havertz in front of you. I'm on my own there. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
This is where Declan Rice comes in, because Declan Rice is one of the best interceptors in the game, and he's going to be one of those guys who can read defenses. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not saying he's better than Thomas Partey, but in one aspect of his game that he is 100% better than Thomas Partey is intercepting and reading the game and getting the ball off people quite quickly.
Listen, it's gonna be a tough one. Let's move it because I wanted to get this last bit in before we come to a close. Northside, let's come to you. I've titled this about our midfield being stronger. We've touched on a striker as well, which I think we all agree we ain't done yet, right? It's been quite sort of, people are saying it's been negative in parts. All it has been is concerns at the moment, right? That could change. Those concerns in a couple of weeks, we get the right players in. All of us are positive about the season, and that's why I hope and pray that we will be, right? But what does success look like is a really, really good question for me to pose to you guys, because there's a lot of differences in the fan base about where Arsenal are at right now. What is deemed as successful, not just for Mikel Arteta, but for Arsenal as a football club this coming season. Now, a lot of times when you ask this question, everybody goes straight away to what happens if it all goes wrong. There are some suggestions, of course, that it's going to go absolutely right and we're in a great position. And I hear that because that's where we should be, right? We should be going for titles. We should be going for trophies. My aim at every single start of the season is to win the league. The aim is to win the Champions League we're in. The aim is to win the FA Cup, the quadruple, right? That's what the aim of, in my opinion, of the sport is. Now, expectations, of course, change because we're not going to go and do a treble or a quadruple, right? But my expectations is to be in this title race and win a trophy. I'm not going to be, oh, we've tried to get this again, and unfortunately, Man City are all in this and all in that. And I made the thing with Lee Judges earlier on this stream. I said, when in '99, Manchester United did the treble, the following season, did we all go, I think I'll take second and try and get into a final this coming season because Man United are just too good? No, we didn't. I didn't hear any fan base say that. Not back then, we didn't. So for me, I understand there's a different Arsenal now and all that kind of stuff. I get it. I'm not going into this following season saying second will be good. If we get to a final, I'll be happy. And if we can try and scrape a Carabao, I'll be running around, all the way road. No, like for me, we win a trophy, we get in a title race, and we get as close as we can to Man City because they're a great side, and I appreciate that. So that for me is where I'm at. Northside, let's come to you, bro. Where you at, bro?
He either wins the Premier League or the Champions League or sack him. Sack him. At the end of the day, the expectation has to be high. This guy is, going on to year 4? 650 million pounds spent, and the transfer window isn't even over yet. Overhauled the whole squad. We said we could only judge him until he's got all his players in. The last time he's won a cup with this club was when he inherited the mess and the toxic squad that was left by Unai Emery. That was the only time he won anything. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You can't be spending, closing in on £1 billion and the expectations not to win us a league or win in Europe. It ain't good enough. And the decisions he's made in, renewing Rob Holding's contract, Elneny's contract, and Nketiah's contract, that's on you, bro. That's on you. You decided to do that. You didn't have to do that. That's on you. So it is what it is. I look at it like this. I don't feel like the club has changed. The fan base has changed. Back in the day, what me, you, Premzy says, and the gal sometimes certain points I do agree with the gal. When we actually hold high standards to this club, that used to be the norm within Arsenal.
Yeah.
And what happened? The club changed with the fan base. The fan base accepted top 4. Yay! Yeah, top 4, yeah. They started meeting that expectation. That wasn't an expectation when we came up. And we're going to, like you said, we was going over Fergie. You know what I mean? The best Premier League manager we've ever seen. And we never accepted, we're just going to come second. It was a tragedy if we come second. It was a tragedy if we lost at Old Trafford. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the standards do not change. You can't, this is the thing, yeah? The Arsenal fan base love to banter Tottenham. Oh, they don't win anything. Okay, so why are you accepting your club not winning anything? You use that as a stick to beat Tottenham as to why they're a small club, but you don't demand it of your club. So, little man mentality. Do you not want to be in the realms of Liverpool and Man United and Chelsea and Man City? Because the teams that have been taking it serious in the last 20 years, they've won European titles. They've won Premier Leagues. But we keep going with the, we'll give it a go. Or, he wants Kai Havertz. We'll give it. No. My standards do not drop. My standards is of the standard of this club. Because it's supposed to be the 3rd biggest club in England. I don't even know if we're the 3rd biggest club in England anymore. We are falling behind. At the end of the day, if I don't do my job, if I go into work tomorrow and for the next month or so, I don't perform, I'm sacked. Nobody's going to be coming on the internet saying, Northside got sacked. It's negative. No, they're going to say you didn't do your job, you got sacked. So Arteta, this is the last point I've got to say on it. As we keep giving chances to Mikel Arteta, we've lost managers like, we held on to Wenger too long, we didn't get Klopp. Look at what Klopp did with Liverpool. Yeah? The very similar model to Arsenal, and he won a Champions League and a Premier League. Then Ancelotti went to Everton. Oh, we don't want Ancelotti. Oh, he's washed, he's finished. That's why he's gone to Everton. Really? Since he's left Everton, he's won more than this manager's won. Yeah? We didn't go for those managers. People say that Arteta is amazing. Really amazing. This guy's amazing. Xavi just won La Liga, and his club were negative £1 billion. He didn't go out there and spend 600-700 million pounds to be getting himself in the top 4, let alone win the league. Yeah, that's more impressive than what Arteta's done. That is more impressive. So also, we're now missing out on managers like Simeone, managers like this that are leaving their clubs or looking to leave their clubs. How many more managers are we going to leave and going to let go to other clubs that are winning top-class managers by sticking with Mikel Arteta? It makes no sense. At the end of the day, I couldn't care less about Mikel Arteta if he leaves Arsenal or not. I've seen Bergkamp leave this club. I've seen Vieira leave this club. I've seen Thierry Henry leave this club. You know what I mean? I've seen Canu leave this club. Do I care about Arteta? Do I actually care? Is he a bigger legend than any of those guys that I've just named? No, the standard's about winning. Football is a competition. If it wasn't a competition, we wouldn't have cups. We wouldn't have medals. We wouldn't have trophies. We wouldn't have any of it. Yeah? It would just be, oh, everybody's a winner. Yeah? Everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a gold medal. It is a competition. It is a competition. And we should, every time I talk about Arsenal and my high standards, oh, but the Cronkies, they're just about money. Well, why don't we stick it on them? Why don't we tell them, you know what? Let's not get behind penny pinching and going in for a cheapskate player or not going in and buying the players that we needed, like in January, and then calling it a 10 out of 10 window. Go out there and get us the players that we need. How about that? How about that? Yeah. Instead of always trying to say, oh, it's a 10 out of 10 window. And then when we bottled the league, oh, we had a thin squad. I thought January was a 10 out of 10 window. Stop over gassing things. Call it as it is. If you love this club, call it as it is. Yeah. Because sometimes you need that tough love. I had tough love growing up, and I didn't become a bandito. I didn't become a crook. It's needed.
Got tough love, man. You got your ass whooped. You know what I mean, dog? Belt come out, yo. Give man some.
People do it with their kids. Why can't you do it with your football club? You do it with your kids. If your kids are doing, I'm not going to say because I don't want it to be demonetized. They're doing, you already know what they shouldn't be doing. You're not going to say, oh, well, you know, it's toxic and negative to call out my son, even though he's going to throw his whole life away. No, you give him the tough love because you love him. So why is it that Arsenal fans can't give tough love to the club for the betterment of the club? But you want to gas up Lokonga, gas up Fabio Vieira when you never watched the Portuguese league. It's about winning. If he doesn't win, sack Edu, sack Arteta, sack Vinay, and get onto the Cronkies. That's it. Don't tell me this ownership is only about money, and then you're always gassing up and overhyping and justifying this ownership, which you have agreed is only about money and is not about winning and is running this club like a business. If they want to run a business, go take over flipping TK Maxx. It's a football club.
1 second. Bro, you've said so many things. I would need to take notes to even respond to half the things you said. All I'm going to say is your expectations, your all of those things, that's up to you. Every fan is entitled to support the club whichever way they want to support it. I've said this on many streams with you. You don't have to fight the fans. You just have your standards. You live in you want support the way you want to support. Anyone who's going to cuss you, you can check them whenever you want to check them. But I don't think guys like Simeone coming to Arsenal is would benefit us. Let's be honest. He is a better manager than Mikel Arteta, but I honestly believe Mikel Arteta tactically right now is one of the best managers out there. We have struggled in certain situations.
Whoa, Egal.
This is his opinion, man. Let him have his opinion, man.
I genuinely believe you look at the Premier League, in the landscape of the Premier League, you tell me which manager has their team set up the way Mikel Arteta has his team set up. You can only name like Pep Guardiola.
Argument when we didn't go for Ancelotti. This is the same argument. Why would you want to go for Ancelotti? He's washed. Oh, he's not as good.
Who is he not? Let me ask you this then, because you said this, and I want to let you finish your point, but I think you brought up a point there. You say Arteta is one of the best tactically. Who is he better than then? Tell me who he's better than in the Premier League.
Who's he better than tactically?
Yeah.
I think he's better than Ten Hag. He's gotten better out of his players than Ten Hag has. I genuinely do believe that. And if you look at the actual squad, I would say the only manager who's tactically better than him in the Premier League is Pep Guardiola. Every other manager in the Premier League is better than. I think Klopp, you can question his tactical nouns because he's not able to change his system at all. He struggled all season last year until the end when he changed his system.
When have we seen Mikel change his system though, Igal? When have we seen
you gotta give De Zerbi some credit for his tactics.
We've seen Mikel Arteta not only change his system but change players and how they play. He's transformed individuals from players who were solely just playing as a deep line 6 or an 8 in Granit Xhaka and made him a second striker at times. You look at some of the younger players in the squad and how he's navigated and changed their roles. He took a guy in Gabriel Martinelli who was just a touchline winger who didn't really know how to play in this system, and he's changed him too. It's not only about the tactics on the pitch. There is times where the game gets away from him and he makes mistakes. Any manager makes mistakes. But the thing is, we point out all his mistakes, but we don't point out all the positives that Mikel Arteta has. I think the way he set up this team, the way he's drilled this team, and the way he has all these players playing tactically is ahead of a lot of these other managers. And we have a great manager in front of our eyes, but we are so caught up on a lot of the other issues that sometimes we don't take a second and realize this guy had this team who just a couple of years ago, yes, we've invested a lot of money, but you need to invest that money to catch up. But his tactical setup and the way that he has us playing in the same level of Man City a couple of years ago when we had lesser players. Now that we have the quality players that can actually play the system, you see his tactical nouns, you see the setup, you see the integral changes, you see the system where players can move from one side of the pitch and go all the way to the other side, and it works perfectly. You see Bukayo Saka pop on the right side sometimes. You'll see players doing things off the training pitch that comes in straight away, like the set pieces, the defensive set pieces. It's not only the tactics or the X's and O's. Make sure you win
I think Igal, his in-game management has cost us last season, in my opinion. I want to see that improving big time. When I see at Anfield and he's leaving Zinchenko on to get nuts, and then he brings Tierney on when we've already scored against West Ham. We need a goal, and he brings Jorginho on for Jesus. Then in the Southampton game, Fabio Vieira starts, and we're 3-1 down. I'm thinking, what's this guy doing? He's losing his head again. That's my problem.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. There is moments in games where he can lose us a game as a manager, and there's also moments in games where players can lose us games. But regardless, he sets up the team, so he's going to be held accountable. Now, I'm going to sit here and say Mikel Arteta has not always gotten things right, and he's made a lot of mistakes through his time at Arsenal, and he's been learning. Now, his number twos and other people behind him, the reason why he might be shaking it up and people might be leaving is to give himself a new breath of fresh air, a new sense of people, and maybe he's going to add more people. I don't know about that, but himself, he needs to improve. And I've never sat here and said Mikel Arteta's faultless. He's made massive mistakes, like playing ESR false 9 in a big Europa League tie when he's never done that before for us. It doesn't make sense. Certain things, he takes risks. Sometimes they work out. Sometimes they don't work out. For example, playing ESR against Chelsea when he never even played a Premier League game under Arsenal in a long time as a starter. So there's times where it works out and we give him the praise. There's times where it doesn't work out and he gets criticized for it. But I feel like as a fan base, we much more remember the negatives and we don't give the positives. Now, it is a make or break season for Arteta because he's made a massive investment in the summer. He's gotten guys like Kai Havertz, Declan Rice. People are expecting a title challenge minimum. If we finish third, unacceptable. There are going to be people that are held accountable for that. If we are in a title race and we fall off the same way we did last year and we don't learn from our mistakes, people are going to be held accountable for that. But in the Champions League,
they're not equal.
One second. I'm telling you my expectations. You said you want them sacked. I'm telling you my expectations.
Yeah, go on.
Right. And then when it comes to the other competitions, I want us to be competitive in all competitions. I don't want us throwing away the cup competitions. I don't want us saying we have bigger fish to fry or anything like that. Big up to Robbie, but I don't agree with. I never agreed with that. And when it comes to the Champions League, I don't agree with Northside. I don't think we should be going into the Champions League with the expectations that we are going to win it. I think we should try to see if we can win every game, take it game by game, and see where the chips lie with the draw. Because at the end of the day, if we get a lucky draw, then people are going to say, you know what, you can maybe win it. But if we get Real Madrid in the round of 16 or something like that, realistically, we know it's going to be a lot tougher for us to get through. So let's just see. I'm going to have calmer expectations on the Champions League, but in the Premier League, I want a trophy. I want us to win the Premier League. I want us to go for it. If we don't win it and we finish terribly and it's nowhere near a league title, that's where accountability is going to be held.
Can I say something, Nico?
When it comes to domestic trophies, If we don't win any domestic trophy, but we win the Premier League, I'm happy. If we come out of the league title and we don't win the league and we don't come nowhere near the league title and we pick up FA Cup or FA Cup or League Cup,
Terrible.
can we all agree that's still not enough?
No, it's not enough. But you mentioned accountability, Gal. Do you know why I get so pressed? People, oh no, son, why are you so pressed? I remember Cala Boca. I need to talk what I gotta say in it. At the end of the day, there is no accountability at this football club. This football club has been failing for 19 years and heads ain't rolled. Yeah, last season, what was the expectation at the end of the start of last season? Everybody that I saw on video, everyone that I saw on video said minimum, top 4 and Europa League.
Bro, please let me respond to one thing you said before you go.
Hold on. I'll let you finish. Hold on. Then you can go. The expectation from the majority of fans that told majority of people on YouTube were saying top 4 and Europa League. Yeah, that was the minimum for Arteta to achieve last season. He got top 4, but he didn't win the Europa League. What was it? Oh, yeah, but we go again. Oh, yeah, but we're on phase 4. And they're going on with all the propaganda the club is coming out with. I've seen this propaganda and I've seen this lowering the standards. People say one thing at the start of the season, oh, I expect this. And at the end of the season, a lot of those people are unable to say, do you know what? Yeah, that ain't good enough. He's got to go. There's expectations. He hasn't hit it. He's got to go. And that is why, as a whole, as a fan base, the standards ain't held. They're not held to account here at Arsenal. They're not. How many times have we bottled? Before that, it was getting the top 4. We bottled that. No one's held to account. It was, oh, you go again. No, it's enough with you go again.
Let me tell you how you're wrong, my friend. Let me tell you who was held to account at this club. Aubameyang was held to account. He got kicked out of the club. Let me tell you who else was held to account. Pepe, his performances, even though we paid 72 million, he was held to account. He's gone. Guess what? Another person who was held to account, the guy, the director, they called him Don Raul. He got found out for who he was as a fraud. He got held to account. There are people who held to account. It's just the people you don't like that are not being held to account. Because people are backing them, you're saying they're not being held to account. Let's be honest. You don't want Mikel Arteta in charge. He's actually done good enough to keep his job, but you're saying he's not being held to account. People are being held to account, but the people who are also being rewarded for their trust in the manager, or the manager sees something in them, is the reason why you are saying these guys are not being held to account. And the fans held Arsene Wenger to account. Arsene Wenger basically left the club because he was pushed out the club by the owners. The owners have been held to account. After the Super League happened, they were told, what the hell are you doing? Fix up. What have they done since then? They've been investing in the club and trying to make things right with the fans. And if we go through the first team, they dropped off top 4 last season. They realized they messed up. A lot of these guys fixed up, trained, came back the next season, went into a title race. Now they've lost that title race. What are they going to do? They're going to try to reward us by winning it the next year. And you're saying being held accountable. They are. But the thing is, at Arsenal Football Club, we keep it classy. We don't air our dirty laundry for everyone to see. So when people are cussing each other in the changing room, you're not going to hear about it. When people are fighting in the dressing room, you're not going to hear about it, because they got rid of all the rats in the changing room that snitch on the club.
So let me ask this. Sorry, Northside. Let me ask this. So, Premsy, I'll come to you on this first. I know where Northside's at, and I get it, and I do respect it. I understand where Gal's coming from in terms of what Arteta has achieved and what's realistic and what his expectations are. It's all opinion and it's all different, right? Now, I'm with Northside. We need to raise the standards of the football club. They've been on the floor, in my opinion, for the last 15 years plus, right? But Premsy, let me come to you in relation to this season. We have another season similar to this one. We have a successful one. What does it look like to you in terms of success? And also, if we have a similar to one that we just had in terms of just missing out and we're trophyless, what happens to the manager and the board?
Do you know what? Look, I'm just going to say it from how I see it, because, yeah, people might agree with me, people might not agree with me. But at the end of the day, yeah, I respect everyone's opinion, because you got your own opinion. You get me?
Yeah, facts. That's what it's about, man.
It's one of them situations. I might not agree with it. I might get my hump about it, but it is what it is, isn't it? You got your own opinion. Happy days. That's the way you see fit for the club. The way I see fit for the club, bro, luckily enough, I'm old enough to remember us winning trophies, winning doubles, and being a force in English football. So us that have seen it are always going to have a higher expectation than, I'd say, no disrespect to the newer fans that have only ever just seen us challenging for 4th and whatnot and never really seen Arsenal lift big trophies. It's one of them situations. You can't always get everyone to think how you think, and that's just the truth. Look, there's no secret. I was a big fan of kicking Mikel Arteta out of the club very early on after he finished 8th twice, because for me, that's not acceptable at this football club. Then he went on and finished 5th. Yeah, still wasn't happy because we weren't been in the Champions League for a long time. We've not challenged for the league for a long time. We've moved on from Arsene Wenger to put them goals into place and actually start achieving it. For me, Unai Emery, I think he got sacked pretty unjustly. Fair enough, he might have had a shit time inside the Europa League final. But I think because of his English and the way he spoke, I think he got a lot of criticism from the fans as well, unfairly. That's just my honest opinion. And I do understand that it does take time to build a squad up, to challenge with the likes of a City and whoever's there. But you got to say it as it is. This season coming, Dan, to answer your question, bro, is the most vital season in Mikel Arteta's career. He's been at Arsenal for 4 years now, just over 4 years, to be honest with you. Like Northside said, he's spent, over 600 million, which is a lot of money. I understand also what Igala said, that you have to spend money to catch up, because we have had to do that because we were in the mud for a very long time. However, if he doesn't win this Premier League, or, for example, misses out on the Premier League by a point or on goal difference, and we're out of the Champions League in the last 16, and he decides to sacrifice the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, I'm sorry, but that's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club, but that's not good enough for my expectations. We have now got one of, in my opinion, and credit to Arteta for help putting this into play, one of the best young teams in Europe, in my opinion, in the likes of, Saka now developing. We brought in Declan Rice, he's young. Gabriel Jesus, for me, good player. Martinelli, top talent. William Saliba at the back, good. Aaron Ramsdale's come good. We've now got a crop of players that for the next couple of years can grow. And there can be another manager out there with a lot more experience that could come into this team and take them to the next level. That's just my honest opinion. I think if he doesn't win any trophies, serious questions got to be asked. We've got to look out there, see who's available, and potentially bring somebody in. Obviously, if there's nobody available at the time, I can't see Arsenal going out there and paying release clause of managers, because that just doesn't happen with our football club. We've been around long enough to realise we ain't that club and we ain't doing that. So it all depends on what he achieves this season and who's available at the end of the season. But serious questions have to be asked. Looking at 98, yeah, when Arsenal won the double, what did United go and do the following season? They won the treble. This is what I want to see from this squad now. This is what I want to see from Arsenal Football Club. We came close. We lost out to Man City. They won the treble. Now, if that mentality and that character and that big club aura is back, go and win the Premier League next season. So that's how I see it, man. I can only just say how I see it and how I support the club. But for me, he's very lucky to still be in a job. Yeah, you got to give him credit for what he has done last season, because I didn't expect us to challenge. I thought we were going to be struggling to even get top 4, and I wasn't happy about it. He's managed to challenge, and not only for the start and the middle of the season, but after the World Cup as well. We were challenging. It's only really the last 8-9 games where we kind of fell off. And I do think there is some reasons that we fell off. I think Saliba being one of them did have a big impact on the squad. But now it is make or break for him. If he doesn't win anything, he doesn't come close to the Champions League or Premier League, it's sad times in my opinion.
You're like me. If we see the positive changes that we want to see, then we praise the club. We started the show off and I praised the way we're doing business so far. Last season, when we were top of the league, I praised Arteta and I said, get it over the line. I want to be wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to see something and not call it out. When you're talking about accountability, Egal, Xhaka wasn't made accountable for how he treated the fans. Lukonga's not been made accountable that he hasn't been good enough at this club. Yeah?
He has. He got shipped out.
He shouldn't be. Bro, this guy should not be at the club. He should have been ditched. Hold on. When you spoke, I didn't interrupt.
No, you're saying things that are wrong.
Let me finish my point. This manager was failing within the first 2 years that he got to this club. We sacked Unai Emery for being single digits off of getting top 4. Yeah, but we got rid of him. Then when it's with Arteta, 8th and 8th, yes, we've come a long way from them, but we've also spent a lot of money from them, which is why I'm not talking about the ownership right now, because they're giving him the money. Yeah, I can praise where I see praise, but at the end of the day, giving Rob Holding a contract for what? You've been part of this club's failure within the last 20 years. You've been here for a big chunk of that. Why do you deserve a new contract under Arteta? Why does El Neni deserve a new contract? Why does Nketiah deserve a new contract? Why does even Reece Nelson deserve a new contract? At the end of the day, he ain't good enough. And if Saka gets injured, giving him a new contract, are you happy with him for 38 games and playing in the Champions League? Because I'm not. So at the end of the day, there's loads of times where the club
You're
isn't
happy
held
with Saka?
accountable. For me, the manager has objectives at the start of the season. If they're not reached, like in any other big club, you should be sacked. Just like players, you buy players. We talk about Havertz, we talk about Pepe. If you buy players for big money, there's expectations. When you don't reach those expectations, you should be moved on. We're happy to move on Pepe. Pepe and Arteta are the same thing. They're employees of the club. There's standards at a club. We support Arsenal as a big club. Otherwise, let's go support Barnet. With a big club, you have to have big expectations. And it may seem harsh, but all the teams that have high expectations and don't drop it, they constantly win because they will not drop their standards just because of scenarios. The club is the star, is what I'm saying. So that is all I've got to say on that. For me, if Arteta wins the league next season, and I hope he does, because I care about Arsenal, not about me being right, I will celebrate it. I will come on live and I will apologize and say, you know what? I was wrong. Yeah, my standards of wanting the best for this club isn't wrong. But you know what? I was wrong on Arteta.
Do you know what? No offside.
Can I just ask one thing, Premsy, before you go? First of all, Lokonga was held accountable. He got loaned out. Number two, when it comes to some of the players, some of the things that you said didn't make sense to me. Bukayo Saka getting those wages, he had to get those wages because he's one of our best players and he deserves to get paid.
I never mentioned Saka.
No, you did mention Saka.
I never mentioned Saka.
You verbatim said Saka. And I was like, why are you mentioning Saka's wages in 30
I never mentioned Saka. I mentioned Nketiah.
I can't remember.
I said Nketiah, Rob Holding, and El Nene.
The reason why I lost my head was because you said Saka's name. And I'm like, why is he mentioning Saka and his wages?
I said Rob Holding, El Nene, and Nketiah.
Well, we'll have to watch the tape back. It's okay. Listen, forget about that then. I'm just going to ask everybody here. I need to ask this question. Yeah,
I said if Saka gets injured, are you happy with Reece Nelson? And I said, I'm not happy with him.
Okay, so 1 second. Are you saying that we're not going to win the league? And Premsy, are you also saying we're not going to win the league because of how you think we're going to be left short going into the season?
Well, look, first of all, Igalia, and also Northside, there's no given right for us to win this league because there's a lot of competition in the league. There's likes of Man City with big money, better managers, in my opinion, and they're obviously going to be favourites. This is why I say it depends on the outcome of what Arteta does. And say, like I said, if he misses out on the league by a point or he misses out on it by goal difference or we're there and thereabouts and we win some cups and we're in the semi-final of the Champions League, I can see that as progression and I can see that us moving forward. I am realistic in what I'm saying. But at the same time, you got to understand that football is about winning and you do anything in your means to win. If that means you upgrade on a manager, look at Chelsea. Since 2000, they've been the most successful club in England. They've been ruthless with a lot of their decisions. They've sacked managers when people didn't want managers sacked, and it's worked out. The thing is about Arsenal, we've held on to managers for a very long time. With Arsene Wenger, we held on for such a long time that even when we was on a decline, we were still holding on to him and hoping that he can do something from the past, and we didn't move with the times. With Arteta, I just don't want that to be the same situation where with an early club, you get me? I think, yeah, you won the FA Cup in your first year. Happy days. That give you some more time. Now, 4 years coming up to 5 years. I think it's like 4 and a bit years because he joined half a season of Unai Emery. We need to be looking at winning stuff. Now we've challenged for the league. You've set the target of what you can do and what the fans expect. Last season, I would probably say go into the games. That's probably the most connected I've seen a lot of the Arsenal fans for many, many years going to watch Arsenal. Everyone was buzzing. Dan can probably vouch for this as well. There was a feel-good factor around the club. The moment we fell off, a lot of negativity, a lot of toxic stuff came back into play. And I'm not saying they're wrong for doing it because I was very vexed as well. I was one of them people saying, look, if we would have done this in January, we would have done that. If we didn't get this player, we didn't get that player. All if buts and maybes, we could have won the league. But this is it now. This is it. Northside's right. How many years are we going to give him before he wins something big, before we start looking at other options and saying, you know what? If this manager comes into the club, potentially he can offer us something different. He can maybe get the best out of these players. Because, yeah, he has got the best out of a few players. But look, Pepe, he didn't get the best out of. He had to go. He hasn't got the best out of Lokonga. And Lokonga's his signing, bear that in mind. He hasn't got the best out of Nuno Tavares. That's his signing. You get me? So there is things that Arteta's done that it isn't really too great. Look at Martinelli. Because when Arteta came, Martinelli weren't getting no game time. And we were all screaming, why is Martinelli on the bench? Why is Martinelli on the bench? So he's not perfect. I understand this is his first ever job in football. So you got to give him a little bit of time. But now is the most vital time.
Are you not giving him credit for Martinelli's development right now? He was on the bench because he was injured, and now
I'll be honest with you, I don't give him credit. I'll tell you why I don't give him credit. Because Unai Emery was playing Martinelli, and the moment Martinelli stepped into this football club, Igal, and he was meant to be playing for the youth team, we seen something in him to bring him straight into pre-season, into training with the first 11, because we already knew there's a player in him. So no, I don't give him credit for Martinelli, because I already knew Martinelli's an absolutely fantastic player. All you got to do is give him time and let him go, and he'll do it all himself. So
the reason why I give him credit is because the reason why he was on the bench was because he was having fitness issues. And when he was on the bench,
I don't recall that, to be honest with you. I just think he wasn't getting picked.
He wasn't getting picked because he was having fitness issues. And since then, he's gotten a lot stronger, a lot more physical, and he doesn't get bounced off as easy. And since
how do you know this, that he was having fitness issues? Where do you get this information?
The physical transformation that he's had since Mikel Arteta has become the manager. He's literally gone from being this scrawny kid to who he is now.
Hey, Dad, let me ask you a question. How old is Martinelli when he come to the football club?
Of course he's young, but you're
how old? How old? 17 years old.
I forget how old exactly.
17, yeah? So you're telling me in 4 years he's not developing from a kid into a man. That's not down to Arteta, him bulking up his physique. That's down to himself, his own diet, his own development as a man, turning from a boy to a man. You can't give a guy credit for that. I'm telling you now.
Aren't you going to give Mikel Arteta credit for when the guy was not playing? He came in and he hit the ground running and started doing amazing. You're going to say, oh, it was just Mikel Arteta's decision not to play him, and it was a poor decision.
I don't know why. Don't put words in my mouth. I've just told you exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, you're not Mr. Inspector 5-0. I'm telling you now that Martinelli, when he came to this football club, every single person, Arsenal fan, knew Martinelli's going to be a top talent. Yeah, that's not down to Mikel Arteta before this guy even was involved in this football club. Yeah, we all knew that. You get me? Just like we knew Saka was. So you can't give this Mikel. Yeah, he might take a little bit of credit with a bit of the system that he might play, but you can't look at Arteta and say, "Oh, Martinelli is the reason he's firing because of Arteta." No way, not in my opinion.
No, I'm just saying that benching could have been a benefit.
But maybe if he didn't bench him, we wouldn't have finished 8th. Maybe how about that?
You could view it that way too. But I do think there's some things that we criticize Mikel Arteta for that actually can benefit us in the long term, like William Saliba going on loan.
Okay, but out of that whole thing that I've said, you've looked at Martinelli. What about Lokonga? Has he benefited from Arteta?
Lokonga is dead wood and we should get rid of him.
But who wanted him? Who was fighting tooth and nail to sign him?
It was a bad signing. We messed up. We should sell him.
Okay. What about Nuno Tavares? Who signed him?
Nuno Tavares, we realized after 1 year he wasn't good enough, and we loaned him out.
Okay, so Nicholas Pepe, he was at the club. When he come to the football club, he outscored Mbappe. A lot of clubs were after him. There was a raw talent there. And to be fair, a lot of people were on Nicholas Pepe's back, but he had a pretty good season for us the season before he left. So why couldn't Arteta get the best out of him?
No one in world football could get the best out of Nicholas Pepe right now.
How do you know that?
I think his confidence is shot, and nobody seems to want him. He himself is not performing well, and let's be honest, he's not a Mikel Arteta signing in the first place. I think the club.
All right. What about Cedric? What about Cedric Suarez?
That can be used for Havertz.
We could go through the whole squad, and honestly, I believe I have an answer for almost all of them.
Yeah, so to be fair, a lot of it's nonsense, bro. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, bro, but I don't understand. Yeah, a lot of the information you get, I don't know where it's come from as well, bro. Like it's 100% right, and you've got an inside. Have you got an inside man there at the Arsenal or something? Because that's what it's sounding like to me. He's this person, or he had fitness issues, this, that, and the other. This is how we want to play. No. I don't understand because, bro, bro, I go to a lot of games. I know a lot of people around the club, and I don't get this information. So I don't know where you're getting them sources from, fam. Don't read everything you believe. Don't believe everything you read. Sorry, man, as well. That's what
maybe that's my problem. Maybe I believe it could be excuses.
Like, you know what? Your heart's in the right place, bro. You want the best for the club, and I can see that. So do we, bro. You get me? We want the best for our club as well. We have different opinions on certain things, but sometimes you got to just say it as it is. The end of the day, Gal, finishing 8th twice, finishing 5th, that is not good enough for the standards. Obviously, I'm not too sure how old you are, bro. I don't know if you've seen Arsenal win the Premier League or so on. Yeah, so exactly. So you should know, you should be used to knowing that we can lift these big things. You should be used to knowing that where the expectations come from the likes of myself, Dan, and Northside, that we want to win the big things. 19 years is a very long time for Arsenal not to win the league. Look, we challenged last season. He got a lot of credit from a lot of fans, Northside himself, myself, Dan Potts. A lot of people give him credit, and we still do give him credit. But you have to say, this season, if he doesn't win any trophy, we don't challenge for the league. We get knocked out of the Champions League early, because all of this is a possibility. It might be if, buts, and maybe, but it is a possibility. Then you can't still be on the back of this. You get me? There has to be some accountability to, you know what? We need to maybe look at a new manager.
I said this from the beginning. It's trophy or bust in the sense of like backing this project the way Mikel Arteta wants it and having 100% faith in him. There's gonna come a time where they're gonna look at him and they're gonna say, you know what, maybe he's gone as far as he can go. But I believe this season will be the year where we get over that line. And
I believe this season, if we get a few more bits to the puzzle, we can do something great. I believe that as well. You get me? I'm not sitting here saying I don't believe that, and I think this is all we're going to demise.
That's what I thought you were saying.
I think that's where we're all on the same page.
I don't know where you thought that from, bro, because I've been pretty... The one thing about me, Gal, I don't beat around the bush, and I say everything direct, you get me? So I don't understand how you've come to that kind of conclusion if that's what you thought. I'm giving you examples of where Mikel Arteta has messed up in the past, giving you examples of when Mikel Arteta has done well and what the expectations are moving forward this year. Because for me, I already give Arteta an apology because I liked what he was doing. I seen the progression the club were moving. And to be honest with you, bro, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me in the nicest way possible. As long as I can just be real to myself, because the thing is, a lot of people on YouTube, they like to have a facade. But the problem is when you have that facade and you're not yourself, it's only so much it can carry on for. I've always been like this. And like I said, as long as I can give my opinion on what I'm saying, that's all that matters to me. I respect everyone's opinion, but I'm not letting anyone put no words in my mouth that hasn't come or try to twist of what I'm saying.
Ramsey, the people in the chat won't even put their real name. The people in the chat won't show their face. The people in the chat, when we're right at the end of the season with how we feel at the club, they don't come and apologize. So I just let them talk, bro, because they hide, don't show who they are, because they have no accountability, where at least we come on camera and say how we feel, whether we're right or wrong. And we have the balls enough to say, you know what, if I'm wrong, I want to be wrong, because if I'm wrong, our club wins. It's ridiculous to me.
That's what we all want.
I'm the Portuguese Van Dijk now. I'm the Arsenal Van Dijk. You know what I mean? your Lee Gunner's twin or whatever. That, bro, I talk like this.
Can I ask you guys one simple?
Yeah, ignore that, man. Ignore that, right? Honestly, man.
I don't know what kind of twin you are, fam. You get me? This is a mismatch of a twin.
Can I ask you guys one question? Is there things that the club have done that you disagreed with, that you kind of feel like, you know what, you look back at and you're like, now I get it. For example, for me, when they loaned out Saliba all those times, I didn't get it. But then after I heard the reports about his family and everything, and now that we've seen him play so well, he signed a new contract and he's actually going to be here with us. Looking back at it, don't you guys feel like that kind of thing that we were saying, why did you do it? It actually benefited us in the long run.
To be honest with you, I would have sacked Arteta a long time ago. So
yeah, I'm the same.
I'll be honest with you, keeping on to him was probably a good decision considering last season we challenged. But now, I'm telling you, I'm ready to revoke that shit if things don't go well.
I don't think we should. Like, I would have sacked Arteta a long time ago. I would have. I've made that very, very clear, right? But I was wrong about him putting us in a title race. I never saw us in a title race. I didn't think this guy was good enough to get us in a title race. One thing I always give him credit for was the stuff he did off the pitch in terms of the removing of the culture, fans connect, all that stuff. Hats off to him. It's been really good around the stadium. Fantastic away from home as well. Yeah, superb. The problem with that is that doesn't win me a trophy. that hasn't won me a trophy yet. So I understand that it's a great place to be around now. I totally appreciate the fact that there's a lot of good he's done off the pitch, which a lot of the fans are saying brilliant. But actually, when you look at it, I'd rather have a trophy. I'd rather win trophies. And for me, Igal, and we're going to close in a minute, but this is where I stand. This season, we are going to find out whether Mikel Arteta has the potential to be a Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp at Arsenal, or he's going to be a Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool, and we need a Jurgen Klopp to get us over the line. Because let me tell you right now, we've got a very good side at the moment. It isn't good enough to compete for a title with Manchester City right now, but I tell you what it would do. If somebody walked in there tomorrow, they'd have a very nice set of players to start there with. And that for me is, do you know what? If Arteta can do it, and I hope that he does, I hope he wins us everything. That's what I want to see. If he can't do it, though, it's not the end of the world. We can get somebody else. We don't have to stay with this guy for another 10 years until he actually finally can win a league. Because guess what? He might be the needy guy. We don't know this yet. He might be the guy that nearly gets us there, just like Brendan Rodgers with Liverpool was. And we might need our Jurgen Klopp to come in and go, boom, there's your trophy. There's your title. There's your Champions League. There's your double. There's your double domestic. There's your European trophy. Because we've been waiting 20 years for a Premier League trophy and 30 years for a European trophy. That is too long.
I was 12 then. I was 12 years old. As a grown man, I never seen us win the Prem. I was 12, and people want to know why I'm annoyed. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, we don't big up Pochettino because he was the nearly man. We don't say, oh, he's world class. He was a nearly man in the Champions League. He came a nearly man in the Premier League. At the end of the day, we rate the managers that deliver, and that is what it's about. Yes, he came second. Cool. There's a lot of positives that I do see at the club at the same time. You know, Ramsdale, I was wrong about. Saliba, I already thought he had the ability to come into the squad.
Yeah, same.
I felt like he was already good enough. And the French media and everyone already backed him that watch Ligue 1. So at the end of the day, there is things. Cronkies. How many times have we been on the Cronkies? The Cronkies have backed Mikel Arteta, which is
why as well. Sorry to interrupt. He was definitely good enough because at Etienne, him and Fofana, everyone was singing about Saliba's praises over Fofana. That season we sent him on loan. Fofana came in for Leicester and he hit the ground running. You get me? So that already tells me that Saliba was ready just to come straight into the squad. Sorry, I just thought.
We had Rob Holding and Mustafi and Socrates at the time, so of course he was good enough, man, for me. But listen, that's another one. I've got to say, this season, a lot of people will say this is a bit of a negative take on things, and I can understand why you think that. Season's not started yet, transfer window's not over. We're bringing up concerns. You know, people in the chat saying, oh, negativity, toxicity. It's opinions, man.
Bro, I was all happy until we signed Kai Havertz. I'm telling you now. It knocks me down a few notches.
I'm going to keep it 100 because I didn't want him either.
Because at the end of the day, when we bottled top four, and some of us were saying the squad is too light, what happened if this guy gets injured? Oh, you're negative. What happened? The fact that we had to rely on El Nenes and Nketiah's 10 games to go.
This is what it is.
That's not being negative. We were right. Last season, we were saying we didn't do enough. We needed more bodies in the midfield. We needed more rotation. Last season, oh, don't be negative. We're top of the league. We went into January transfer window, 8 points clear. Oh, you're negative. Just be happy that we're top of the league. I was saying, listen, Mikel Arteta, he takes way too long to make changes. 60th minute, we used to get onto Wenger for that. Tactically, he's not versatile. The players on the bench are not good enough. We don't have enough rotation on the bench. That is of the same level as the starting 11. Oh, Northside, you're being negative. End of the season, everyone that called me negative was coming out with, oh, we had a thin squad. I was telling you that at the start of the season.
Yeah, and this is the problem, Northside. You bring a great point because a lot of people, I said at the start of the summer window, we signed Jesus and Zinchenko. I said, what is this out of 10? And I was like, oh, I can't give it more than a 6, man, because we're really short. This is a 9 out of 10 window. Oh, is it? Oh, okay then. And then all of a sudden, I'm thinking, do you know what? Maybe it was. We're top of the league. This is unbelievable. Let's hope Saliba doesn't get injured and Rob Holding has to come in. Let's hope Eddie isn't needed. Let's hope Jorginho isn't needed for long. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, no. There it is. That's why it was a 6 out of 10 window.
But you know what?
And then it's like everyone shouts at you and says, you're toxic. I tried to say this.
You guys are right. And what you guys were saying, the warning signs were there and you guys were pointing it out. But really and truly, there's moments where we're top of the league, 8 points clear. I'm celebrating. I'm going crazy. I'm yelling and screaming grabbing my shirt saying we're
Of
going to
course,
win.
we're all doing that, man.
And everyone is. But the thing is, you guys have the level heads to actually see the problems, where I'm only looking at the good things. I'm only looking at all the positives. I'm not looking at Rob Holding potentially coming in for Saliba. I'm saying Saliba's invincible when really and truly he's not. So
Nah, listen, I get
I
that,
get
Miguel,
my
and I
point.
respect that, and I
Big
respect
up
that.
yourself, Miguel, for saying that.
Yeah, I
And
get
fair
my
play
point.
to you, man, because
Hang on.
there's a lot of people that don't see it like that, and there's a lot of people that will just look at like you and then go, "Well, hang on a minute, we haven't got a thick enough squad." Well, why is it a 9 out of 10 window then? You can't give it a 9 out of 10 window and then go, "We ain't got a big enough squad." Like, what one is it, man?
I don't
Come
know.
on.
I must say though, I was very much like Igal last season. I was so
The
positive.
thing that I
it was
don't
real.
like, the thing that I don't like, and you guys seen the viral moment with me and Brandon, is when people sit here after a loss and tell me it's done, when there's 18 games left to go, 15 games left to go.
That's fair, man. That's
The defeatist mentality that we have as a fan base is what hurts me the most. Because we talk about standards, and yourselves, you guys talk about standards, but I find it that the same people who talk about standards are the same people who are willing to give up the league title after one loss.
You know what
But
it
the
is though,
little
Igal?
difference
You
is
know
when
what it is
fans
though? A
say-
lot of fans have been hurt for a very long time, and it
Yeah,
takes
that
time to
is
build
what it
that
is.
trust
That
up.
is what
Do
it
you know
is.
what I mean? Like this season that's just gone, fans have got back on board. Obviously, when they see old habits start to creep in, they start to end up reverting back to type because of all the hurt they've seen over the years. It's going to take a few more years of us being there or thereabouts, winning the big trophies for everybody to then have that mindset of, you know what, we're going to be like how Man City are. If they lose one game, it's not over. No. Because to be honest, even after we drew against Liverpool, I came out on EFTV. I said, look, don't give up yet. It's not the end of the world. Drawing at Anfield, there's many teams that have come here and lost. For me, Southampton, that was just a wrap. After the Southampton game, I thought, that's it. Now you've got to look at it a bit realistic.
For me,
The positive fans though are like that as well, though. Defeatists as well, we go. Like this point, yeah. The positive fans say, "Oh, when we have high standards, the positive fans say, oh, we can't spend 100 mil on a player. Before Declan Rice, we can't spend that money. We can't compete with oil-rich clubs. We're not run like that. We're running self-sufficient. No, we can't compete against Man City. It's Man City. They're cheating. We can never catch up to them." Is that not defeatist?
Bro, it is. And guess what? There's two sides to every coin, really and truly. There's people who are going to say things that infuriate you, and there's people that are going to say something that infuriates me. And you might actually, we might both agree with that person. But hey, guess what? Recently, I said something that pissed off a lot of people on social media. I said that Arsenal next season are going to try to set up like Prime Barcelona. People took it as, oh, you're crazy, you're deluded. But the really and truly, the fact is, the way that we're going to try to set up tactically might be similar to what they did. And it's like those kind of little comparisons, little things that people say, tendencies can piss off other
100.
fans. It can piss off other fans, but it doesn't affect the football on the pitch. Really and truly, what affects me the most is when fans are, I don't view it as toxic anymore, but I just view it as openly unwilling to see things that are positive at times when things are going well, because they're still complaining.
Listen, it's opinions, it's therapy, it's a debate. It's a podcast. That's what it's all about, man. And people that can't accept that, and I don't even know why you're listening or why you're here. I can't lie. Listen, big up everybody, man. Big up Igal. How can people follow you, my guy?
Yeah, man. Igal Talks Football. My YouTube channel is right there. You can check it out. I also do TikTok, and I'm also on Twitter. So my Twitter is EGTV Igal, and I think I started Instagram too, so you can catch me there also.
Great stuff, man. Make sure you go and do that, people. I was on Igal's channel earlier, so make sure you go check that one out. Northside, plug your stuff, man. Road to 3K. What are you saying?
To be honest, I need to update that because I've passed 3K. But
okay.
I need to update that. I can't lie.
Well done, there, man. Well done.
Road to 5K.
Thank you. 3K subscribers, yeah. Toxic and negative, but that's it. That is Northside LDN at YouTube. Yeah, I only really use my YouTube. It's the same on IG, but all my content comes out on YouTube. Trying to take a break, but like Igal said earlier on, that it's kind of hard to take a break with all this news surrounding Arsenal. But yeah, Northside LDN on YouTube, and yeah, big up. Love having me.
Big up. Make sure you go do that, people. Get Northside over to 5K. Premzy, man, plug your stuff.
First of all, thank you for having me. Big up the chat as well.
Pleasure, man.
Some funny comments in there. Big up Igal. First time being on the stream with you, Northside. It's been a little while, so it's good to chop it up with you again. Look, Premzy AFC on Instagram, Premzy TV on YouTube. I have took a little bit of a break. I'm going to be back on Monday with Premier League Unpacked with some of the regular guys that are over there on the channel. obviously, when Arsenal's back, regular content all the time. If you go and subscribe, I'll appreciate it. Can't do it without you lot. So obviously, if you can make it happen, thank you very much, people.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Make sure you go and get Prems up as well. Make sure you smash a like on this one. Subscribe. Our next target's 11K. So let's get there ASAP, people. We'll be back as always with daily content. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Arsenal. Take care, people. Peace.